What's up guys, Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to be going over a hero guide for the brand new Light Faction Priest, Andrea. So, he is actually a very good early game, mid game hero. He even has some uses in late and end game from what we've seen. We've had some decent luck with him in the end game PvP meta, but he does require pretty much splendid V4, V3 plus. V4 is not too important on him, but definitely V3. You need like a splendid crown. We're going to go over the artifacts. We're going to go over the stones we use for him, as well as gear and enable setup. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think about Andrea. Hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it. Alright, so starting off with the soul stones, the SS3 stones. There's only one that really stands out from the pack among the others, and that is actually the HP attack stone. I never would have thought we'd be using this stone so much, but on Fiona it's a pretty solid stone. On Andrea, it's a pretty solid stone. Why? Because you want both the attack and the HP. The HP for the survivability, the attack for, of course, the strength of his healing. Just like Fiona was. Fiona, you want high attack on her too for the strength of the shields that go out. Also matters what the strength of the hero receiving that shield is. But unlike her, with Andrea, the healing is directly tied to his attack power. The extra HP is going to be a really good synergy with the artifacts you use with him. A very nice, well-balanced hero that honestly doesn't care about speed. He's not like super slow. He's faster than a lot of non-light heroes, light and dark transcendent heroes. But at the end of the day, there's still plenty of heroes faster than him. And when we're talking about the speed arms race, if you're not going to be number one, you're probably better off gearing yourself up for more HP, more attack, and more stats instead of sacrificing those stats for speed. And that's the main reason why, honestly, a lot of the speed stones I'm going to be bumping down quite a bit on this. I mean, the crit one I feel like is really bad. Maybe something like this as far as the speed stones go. I mean, I really do not like them. Anything with attack is really good on him. An S tier, I'll definitely put an A tier, I'll put an attack stone. It's good. I mean, you're probably going to want to run something more like a crown and not an A and B, so it's not super important on him. Along those lines, too, I'd probably put the attack block and the attack holy damage. Besides that, I'd really just drop everything else down a node, but it does have attack, so I do think it has some use still. Not great, but it has some. Now, you can actually run an HP stone on him as well, but if you do that, you're going to want to go very aggressive on your enabling. So it's kind of like a give and take. If you don't have attack on your stone, you're going to want to go more HP. If you're going all out attack, might want some HP on those enables because you're really not running speed whatsoever. Crit attack, that's going way down the bottom. HP block, yeah, I just still don't like it. Honestly, besides attack HP, I haven't had too many great experiences. It just feels like that well-rounded overall stone that just it synergizes really well. And what it really synergizes with are the artifacts. There's one artifact that he is like a god among men. I mean, the crown, splendid crown, is making another resurgence in the PvP meta. Heroes like Fiona, heroes like Andrea, they're making the battles last a little bit longer than like the typical 2-3 rounds, but not by much. And usually the core of your team is already dead. What Andrea does is if he can stay alive, as your allies are dying, he can keep your remaining damage dealers alive and going. So it's a really good artifact that I've been using on him. Besides that, I've had some decently good uses with Magic Stone Sword as well, but it's typically when I also pair him with a Fiona with those shields, because Fiona's shields and Magic Stone Sword just have amazing synergy together. But overall, I'd say they are pretty good. The other thing I've surprisingly had some decent luck with is some energy, but not that great. So damage reduction is definitely important on him. He does have that 30% damage reduction built into his character sheet. So when you're using other damage reduction abilities, it's actually not too bad. If you really want to go overboard with attack, you can go ahead and go with an A and B. with his 30% damage reduction combined with the ability of A and B to lower the damage incoming is good, but so much of the damage right now in the PvP meta is big burst damage, and A and B does not do a good job getting rid of that. A and B is to get rid of that ping damage, that rustle damage, that Scarlet Queen damage, those things, but when you're getting these big hits coming in, A and B really does start falling off, and I'd kind of put it down to a B tier because of that reason. Now, besides that, I would honestly put Crown, just a regular Crown, up there in the A tier as well. It just does so much for him. Survivability is the name of the game. Again, we'd probably throw like Fearless Armor, regular Magic Stone Sword down there. Not too bad. If you're really in a CC heavy meta, honestly, Candy Bar is not that bad. Make sure he doesn't get CC'd. He gets his active ability off. It's really not all that bad. Another one that's actually pretty solid is, again, another defensive artifact, Upgraded Torch. I was on somebody's account this weekend messing around with a Splendor, or no, it was a Radiant Torch, and it actually gave him quite a bit of survivability, long enough to get his active ability off and heal back up. Of course, he ends up taking a lot of end of round damage, so I'm really not a fan of it overall. And then besides that, I mean, there's really not any other artifacts you'd really want to run on him besides some sort of damage reduction for, like, you know, budget with like a Fearless Armor, Plate of Courageous, whatever you want to call it. There's really no point running Rui on him. There's no point really running big offensive artifacts because you're just going to lose out on a lot of survivability. He doesn't do enough damage for Kiss a Ghost to really be useful. So overall, you're just going to stick with the core damage reduction artifacts. He's not fast enough to really be used in an energy feed situation. But I mean, energy feed, even if it's after the fact that people used actives, it can still be good. It can still be good. But honestly, the top three in the S and A tier, those are the ones you really want to aim for with him. If not, maybe go for a regular Plate of Courageous. So the next part is going to be going over the gearing and the enabling of Andrea. So first off, full priest gear, very good. Again, we want a nice, well-rounded hero. If you can get the full resonance gear, that is going to be absolutely amazing because you're going to get bonus all damage dealt, which doesn't really matter. But the big ones are all damage reduction and extra 8% HP. We did go over the stones, so you know that. We went over the artifacts. Now, one thing I have been running on all my Andreas is one attack node and one HP node, because you don't want to run speed, because if you run speed on both, you're only getting 10% HP and 6% attack versus 8% attack and 12% HP. So you're kind of losing that 2% on each to get the extra 40 speed. Definitely not worth it on him, in my opinion. I go back and forth. Sometimes I run Vitality. Other times I run Lethal Fightback, just because Lethal Fightback is a really nice ability to punch through Unbending Will layers on people's heroes. Honestly, you can't really go wrong on any of them. Shelter is probably the best one to go for, just because that's less damage you're receiving. And honestly, if you just run that on every one of them, that's less damage. His healing is already kind of over healing when he's at a V3 plus state. Very strong. And of course, there's so much CC in the meta with Jara at the end game. If you're facing a lot of Jaras, you probably want to run Control Purify. Otherwise, possibly Mark Purify. And of course, Unbending Will is a guaranteed. The last thing is to go over his imprinting map. So the big one here is getting to V3. V3 is going to make his abilities much stronger. The passive ones, the beginning of combat, what happens when allies die. That's the big one, because in reality, his active ability, a lot of that healing ends up being overhealing. So it's not like super important. Of course, he does give a little bit more damage reduction and holy damage, but it's not a big amount of difference. The big one here is getting V3, and that's the one you really want to aim for. So let me know what you guys think. Do you run your Andreas differently? How have you had experiences in the mid game, early game with an E5 Andrea? I mean, he's a great 5-star support, or level 100 support. You've seen that on our free-to-play account. Just really great support, especially when you pair him with someone like Fiona too. It adds a ton of survivability for your team. Has amazing synergy with heroes like Carry. I knew from day one, I felt like some sort of carry cheese or meta or something like that would work with Andrea. So I know a lot of you guys out there have carries. Throw 1 or 2 carries on your team, an Andrea or so, and then of course your main heroes, and you'll probably profit very, very well. So make sure you take 1 second, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.